Okay, we're live. So welcome to Leadership Matters episode 1 with StreamYard. How are you? We're
Yes, episode 1.
episode 1 of hopefully many more. And we're broadcasting live on Facebook and live on YouTube right now. So this can go out to whoever wants to join us. So what's going on? What's going on in the world of Michelle today?
I'm in the world of trying to find an affordable car. So I've been focused on that, doing research on that, and surprising how expensive cars are.
Yeah.
So expensive, even during a pandemic.
And such a necessity.
Models,
right?
Compact economy cars are so much.
So did you happen to look at the Vroom or the what's the other online one, Carvana?
I haven't looked at those yet.
Okay.
I'm just trying to look and see if any of these cars comparing and see kind of like what I would be interested in.
Okay.
So
I haven't left the house today at all. Snowstorm here in New Jersey.
Yes.
And I mean, what's going on in Texas right now? That's
oh yeah, horrible.
Right.
And what's so sad about it is how the public, the officials there, the governor, senators, etc., are taking lieutenant governor taking no responsibility. And you even have Ted Cruz going to Cancun.
That's what I was just going to say.
His daughter, escort his daughter, even though his wife was there as well, and he's escorting them, even though people in the state are dying.
Right.
Dying, no water, no heat for days.
So I just finished watching all the episodes of The Walking Dead on Netflix, and I saw some of those scenes in Texas, and that's what it made me think of. Like, wow,
right.
they're literally boiling snow right now to get drinking water.
Yeah, horrific. And going around their neighborhood trying to find branches and whatever to heat up their homes.
To burn, right?
To burn, yeah, to burn.
But at the same time, shoot, people in Flint, Michigan are sitting there like, we've been doing this.
True, they've been
doing this for a while now.
Water, and it's still not resolved.
Yeah.
Still not resolved. Again, another example of the political officials, the powers that be, not taking responsibility and not getting anything done.
Yes.
It's hard to believe that that issue in Flint, Michigan, still has not been addressed.
So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't want us to get all in talking about all the crazy politics that are out there, right?
No,
because we're going to go down a rabbit hole with that we can't.
That you can't get
out of, right? There's such negativity, right? So what I really want to do here with the streaming, and it goes back to the book I've been reading, which I left over there, Thich Nhat Hanh, Understanding Our Mind. And basically, he's pointing out that there can be, like with everything, there's two sides to everything, right? Like there's no phone unless your consciousness recognizes there's a phone, right? And even if if you're thinking about something, if you're thinking about a pen, it's more than just a thought. It's also something that's outside of your bodies, right? So the two are connected. There's no day without night. There's no good without bad.
Absolutely.
So the premise here is, if we just speak, if we just talk and spend time talking, just like you and I always do, someone's going to listen. Someone eventually, and people will continue listening, because just by the fact that there is a spoken word, the other side of it has to exist somewhere.
That's right. Right. Someone will listen.
Right.
And will participate, hopefully, in our discussions, which would be great.
And I think we will. Like, we're just going to get started here. But this is it. This is over the years that I've tried to do things. So I've had the podcast, but I've tried doing YouTube videos in the past. I've tried just taking my own little videos and throwing it out there. We've tried going live on Instagram and all that. This is everything in one spot. We can go live on multiple different platforms.
Right.
We can take the video, upload that somewhere else. We can take the audio and create a podcast with that. But the best part about it is it's live and I get to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And that's when I feel I'm at my best, when I'm interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that aspect of this.
I think this is a great opportunity to see if we can engage other people, which I'm sure I know we will. People will listen and hopefully they'll engage with us. So where do we start?
Well, I was thinking we start a little bit about our backgrounds, right?
Okay.
Let's tell people who we are. And then just kind of what we're hoping to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, and then we'll talk about something. I got questions that I can ask you. I can tell you about the things I've been writing, that's another thing, that we can use this as a platform for the book that we would like to create, books, a series of books, whatever it is that we want to try to get done. I always got plenty of ideas for you.
Yes, you absolutely do. Okay, so we can start there with a little intro.
So I guess I'll start with how my podcast started, which was really just, we're both educators, first off, right? So on the Facebook page, Ldrship Matters, it's I have us listed as educational consultants and motivational speakers. So why not? Why not?
I like it.
And I think we can do that. I think we have the capability of doing that, and even if it were just virtual right now.
Mm-hmm.
But my podcast started by my students wanting me to just talk to them about things in the classroom, and there never seemed to be enough time.
Mm-hmm.
The bell would always ring, and I'd have to take that story and be like, all right, hopefully I'll tell you another day.
Mm-hmm.
So I started taking those stories and putting them on a podcast for my former students to listen to. And then it's just kind of evolved over time. I met you. I wanted you to talk on the podcast with me. And I just, I obviously love your perspective on things and really appreciate it. And here we are trying some more things, ready to step into some other ways of working together.
Right. I remember the first podcast I participated with you. We were talking about equity.
That's right.
Equity in education, and we touched a lot on what
still a major issue for me.
Oh, huge issue. And we discussed how students and parents were dealing with learning and teaching remotely. So from the parent perspective, the students, and how equity, how all these issues were coming, that had always been present. These equity issues were present, but had been exacerbated and kept coming up to the forefront in this whole time of this COVID pandemic. Yeah. So that's where I kind of started with the podcast. And then from there, it just kept growing.
And one of the things I think is very important, and it's going to be important for us to keep mindful of, is, as much as we, just like anybody else, want to make an income from doing this and talking to people and being consultant, I'm really more and more feeling as if that's not my ultimate focus.
Mm-hmm.
My ultimate focus is simply to talk to people. And
right.
all that other stuff will come if I can just continue to be mindful and positive and talking about good things.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll happen. And that's why I'm happy that this platform exists, because it's a very easy way. And I'm looking forward to getting a third person on here, because it'll be great to have that dialogue. So let me shoot another message to my buddy. Right. So you're also a teacher.
Yes. I've been teaching. This is my 14th year as a teacher. I've always taught at the same school. I teach I'm a fourth grade teacher now, and I have been for I guess 8-9 years now, at a Title I school in Washington Heights in New York City. And So that's my experience. That's my experience teaching in a community where students tend to, many are living in poverty,
Yeah.
uh, many immigrants, for many of them, English is a second language. And especially, in my class, usually because I'm a bilingual teacher and dual language teacher. So my students are always L's for the most part.
Yeah.
English language learners. So that's kind of the community that I'm invested in, and it's also my community because that's where I grew up as well. I grew up in Washington Heights and went to not the school that I teach at, but like
Close
10
by.
blocks away. Yeah,
Wow.
10 blocks away. So it's uh it's very special to me because I see myself in the students a lot. My struggles that I face, I see them having similar struggles, and I want to um, do the best I can to help them. And sometimes that can be difficult. That can be
Yeah.
pretty stressful,
Um,
but so wonderful at the same time.
yeah.
The successes are amazing. The growth that you see from beginning of the school year to the end is amazing.
So last week when we were talking about Leadership Matters, we basically decided that our mission is to help underprivileged youth and young adults um, overcome their circumstances by teaching them about things that they may not often hear about from their parents
Mm-hmm.
and from their schools. Um, things like meditation, things like the importance of reading, sharing with them the some financial tips that we may have gotten along the way that they maybe don't know, or just
Mm-hmm.
some life lessons, being people that they can talk to. And it's, we've talked a lot about interacting with communities of color, communities of low income, and just speaking to them, and just, so that's really where our heart is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier about the systemic racism within uh, the education services. I mean, it's a lot, and that's not to talk about another problem, but we can be people that can help guide others in the right direction. And it's really just be aware of the problem. That way, kind of how to navigate it and avoid the pitfalls that are in the system and in all the things that we have to deal with.
Right. And since you had mentioned that you wanted this to be kind of like almost like an open forum where we want to talk to people and
Yeah.
engage with them, like this is an opportunity to see what matters to other people. What issues are they concerned about? They may
Right.
be concerned about some of the same things that we're concerned about. Or they may be focused on other things, and that would be great to discuss that too. I mean,
Yeah.
besides us being educators, we're also parents.
Right.
So I think we can relate to a lot of
A lot of different things and a lot of different struggles. And
yeah.
that's something that I wrote about today. And I've been writing a lot, and that's one of the things I did. I bought 4 composition notebooks recently. And it's really as a way for me to find some therapy in something. Trying to find therapy in a lot of different ways right now to avoid the bad habits that so often catch us.
Right.
But on that note, what I wrote today was like the first sentence is a question. How do you lead someone out of a struggle and suffering, or a lack mindset when you're still in that struggle and suffering? And
Right.
sometimes that lack mindset. Like, how do
Right.
you guide people out of that when you're still in it? And
And that's a great question. It's like because everyone is in varying levels of growth
right,
and I find that 2020 was so challenging for me because of the health issues that I faced, that I'm like, well, how can I help other people if I'm trying to dig out
right,
of, I'm trying to figure out,
yeah,
trying to face all these issues that I have. But I think that that's what's so powerful. It's kind of like doing it, being honest about what you're going through, what you're feeling. And I think people sharing in that, in the sense of like creating a community where other people can share that, hey, I'm going through the same thing. Like we can relate because I know what that feels like. Like I'm dealing with that too, or this is what's worked for me. And maybe they'll be able to suggest something that's worked for them.
Right. Right.
Like, like for example, like feeling so isolated right now because kind of at home a lot by yourself, maybe, or just
a
with the
lot.
kids. Yeah, or with the kids and feeling overwhelmed with all of that. Like before, and I'm speaking for moms, but I know that a lot of dads have the same experience.
Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Those commercials bother me. When it's all moms, take care of mom, right?
Mom, yeah,
it's
but
like, oh, there's so many stay-at-home moms,
there's a lot of dads working from home too, and
yeah,
everything. Before, work was kind of a respite in a way because
you get away from the kids for a little while.
Away from the kids, away from the pile of laundry, away from the pile of dishes, and you could focus on work. And then lunch, maybe you could sit down with a friend, with a coworker, and talk about whatever show you're watching on Netflix or whatever. Happy hour on Friday, woohoo! Talk to a bunch of people, and so that was, even if that was just for an hour, that was a break. Now I feel like work, and there's more work.
Yeah.
I would always say like, oh, I'm going home to my second job being a mom, right? Now, like, even the breaks, I don't have a break. There is no break. There's always like constantly looking at what else you need to do in the house or what else you need to do. Like the to-do list is never ending. Not that it was before. I mean, before it was challenging doing all your work stuff and then coming home and, like I said, starting the second shift. But there was adult interaction that kind of made that a little easier.
And you don't get that anymore, right?
No.
I was talking about that with a couple other teachers last week, that a colleague of mine happened to walk into my office, and it's like, oh my God, where you been? I haven't seen you in 3 months. And I really miss that. I miss that time talking to my colleagues, yes, but my friends. I miss time talking to my friends,
Yeah.
And we're just, as educators, as online teaching virtually or even in the classroom, there's just not a lot of time for that anymore.
And you can distance from everyone anyway.
And I don't know about you, but I'm a hugger, so like I'm always hugging everyone.
Definitely.
And I actually remember the last hug that I gave, that was, I guess, was like an unsolicited hug, right? Like I just kind of walked up and gave the person a hug. And I remember that person was like, don't hug me,
Don't hug me.
I was like, that's not the normal response that I get. I was like, okay, wow, I guess that's the last time I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, in that sense, that's a whole conversation, because how we interact is it's so different.
It's changed.
It's really changed. Like, definitely I'm a hugger. Who's shaking hands? Who's hugging? And as a Latina, I couldn't come into work and say, "Hi, mommy.
It take you 15 minutes just to get to homeroom."
Exactly. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, if I'm really in a hurry, like I have a lot of things to do, a lot of copies to make, whatever. I'm like, let me go in through this way. Like I'll try to go through the back, because I'm like, if you go through the main office, forget it. You'll be saying hi to everyone for like 20 minutes. So, but that's all different now. Like it's
yeah,
and it's like hi, and so, it's different.
One of the ways that I actually very much appreciate the socially distanced new world that we have is my hands very oftentimes get sweaty, like seriously sweaty, right? Like even now, if I haven't like if I have a couple weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's cool. Maybe virtual again tomorrow.
Oh yeah, my school got the call. We're virtual again tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's the call. Okay.
There you go. But yeah, no, it's not having to shake people's hands for me is a good thing. And like even now, there are times where if I feel caught off guard on the spot in the classroom, oh man, forget it. And then like for me, it's something that. By the way, I don't talk about this publicly very often, but for me, it's something that once my hands start getting clammy, that's it. They're like that for the day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be like that all day. So shaking people's hands has always been something for me. It's like, is it the right time? And now it's like, I don't have to do that anymore. Who shakes hands anymore?
No, you can't.
No, you can't. It's not allowed.
Not allowed. So I guess that's one positive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will
positive
say
in everything.
It's not all negative. No. I really, I have to say, like working from home and having the kids home and they're trying to do their remote learning at home. It's been good for me, especially with my little one, with my Daniela. I feel more involved in her learning. Like I really know what she's learning now. I know how much she knows, how much she can do. And I didn't before the teachers would tell me in the IEP meetings, oh, she's doing great. She's doing great. She's learned so much, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Now that I'm like, well, I'm right here. I hear her in class, or I was and I work with her also because to supplement. So now I'm like, wow, I really know what she knows and what she needs to work on. Those IEP goals kind of came to life. Like I could see, oh yeah, she does need help with that.
So someone does read those things.
Yes, I do. I do. But it makes more sense now to me. Because I've been working with her on the academic level. Like before I had just more of a, well, this is how she is at home perspective. But now I see what the academic challenges are and the growth too, which is amazing. Like I'm surprised like how much she knows. She's improved a lot. So that's a good thing.
And she's right on cue.
She's happy. So that's a positive. Like the additional family time. Like I feel like we've spent a lot more time with our kids than we were before. Like I would spend more time with my students than I do with my.
Unfortunately, my kids are also spending a lot more time with Xbox and PlayStation. But and less time in sports, which is that's a big one for me. The lack of competitiveness or the lack of competitive opportunity out there for kids. I think is really going to play a major or take a major toll in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, definitely I could see how kids that had a lot of basically sports were canceled for a lot of the kids because of the distancing, right? So that's
they found ways to get the seasons in, but it's not the same. And a lot of seasons were canceled and they're missing a lot of time. It's just the opportunity is just not there.
I mean, it's for some kids, and I would say most kids, it's a great opportunity to socialize, to build self-esteem, to blow off steam, because everything can't just be academics. For students that maybe aren't as successful academically, but you're successful in something else. Like kids have to have success in different areas. And so some kids are great at sports. That's something that's really an important part of their lives. So to not have that, I know that for some kids it's sad.
Yeah, and that's something that I was just speaking about earlier today with my ex. Is that with our younger guy, we feel well. Of course, like everything else, we're coming at it from different points of view. But she feels that he needs a vacation and relaxation and time off and a break. And I agree. I understand and agree with that to an extent. I think the bigger thing that he really needs is to know that he can overcome a major challenge and like he needs a big win.
Win, yeah.
And one of the things that has been bothering him a lot lately is he's been virtual for a long time. And when he goes back to school in person or even chooses to go to a different school, he's almost going to be like the new guy, and no one's going to know him, and no one's going to talk to him, and it's weird because for whatever reason, in my mind, the two go hand in hand. The one time, there were a couple times where I was like the new kid in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time in particular, no one knew me, no one talked to me, nobody wanted to know me, nothing, until I started knocking heads on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, everyone wanted to know who I was. And it's like, it's unfortunate. It's like it's stupid how shallow we are when it comes to that. But hey, buddy, if you can do it, go do it. You might as well use it to your advantage. Go get out there and be competitive.
Especially in high school. I mean, I feel like in high school, it's hard to kind of find your niche, find your people. And sometimes you kind of have to have people notice you. So I think,
So, and like, what do you do to be noticed, right?
Right, we notice and friends. It's not as easy as we would think.
Yeah.
And especially now, I mean, how do you make friends if everything's social distance? You have the mask on, so you don't get to see like the facial expressions as much. Like, I feel that makes it that would make it challenging.
Well, but also like they end up making friends all around the country, all around the world, really, especially through apps on the phone, through games,
right?
And it's very difficult. I mean, my son in particular, like, he gets connected to these people, like he'll talk to them for, I don't know, 2-3 months, and then all of a sudden they drop out of his life, and he's he's like, well, what happened there?
Right.
Like there's, and I have to assume like that's a lot of kids, like they're starving for the connection, then they start to make a small connection on some things, and then it's gone, and it's constantly feeling lonely, I guess. That's not a healthy way, which brings us to some other things, like the emotional and mental health of so many of our kids and adults, for that matter, too, during this time.
I know. I agree that I think that's why the sports is another opportunity to make friends, because you're working as a team. Like we had said, some students maybe struggle academically, but they're great artists or whatever. Like having those special classes when you're like in elementary are opportunities for you to be good at other things. I'm good at art class, yay, something to look forward to. Music class, something to look forward to. And it's like, now my remote students, we're not getting any of that.
That's true, yeah, because it's still just a Zoom call, and it's just you're talking about different stuff, but it's still just a Zoom call. Like, I'm here, not really doing anything different.
Right. I'm still sitting in my living room or kitchen or whatever. But what's helped my my son with like they're making the connection, because for a long time it was that way. It's like hard to break through if you're kind of introverted or quiet. Now that he's a senior and he's going to the gym, he's making friends like from our town and the town, just a town over. He's making friends, guys that he's working out with.
Yeah. That's good.
So people are like, they see that you're strong, you're doing your workout. They want to say, hey, can I work out with you? Making a friend. But even like I said, as adults, I was wondering, I would think like, how do we make friends as adults with people? Other than work.
We did it.
Yes.
We talk about that one day too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of difficult. I think it was difficult before pandemic. You either have old friends or you have
someone told me yesterday, a guy that I work with that's like an avid gym goer. He tells me that his father told him when he was like 17 or 18, it's like, you're going to meet your wife at the gym, right? And we thought about it. We went back and forth a little bit and like, well, better to meet your wife at the gym than at the bar.
True.
Right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. If someone's at the gym, like hands down, at least they care about at the very least
healthy
their
life
aesthetic appeal. right? At the very least, their aesthetic appeal, but hopefully more their physical health, and even more than that, their emotional health, right? That it all goes hand in hand. Everything is connected in that, right? It's okay. she was letting us know that we hit the 30-minute mark.
Yes.
All right, so I guess on that note, I might as well remind everyone of what leadership is in Leadership Matters, and then we'll call this a day. And I'd say this is a pretty nice little first attempt. We'll try to continue pushing it and get more listeners and more people joining us to talk. So Leadership Matters leadership is an acronym from the Army, Ldrship. You can see what it stands for scrolling across the bottom. We used to make everyone pick one for the day. I don't know. You want to pick one for the day?
Sure.
I don't even know. You know what? I'll tell you a quick story, and here's one that was sticking out to me, and I don't tell this story often either. But it's I for integrity. And I really try to be a person of integrity. And when I was in the Army, they drill it in your head. Integrity means doing the right thing even when nobody's looking.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
That's students that too.
And I think I've adapted that to also make sure you're looking too. Like make sure you are reflecting on what you're doing, because nobody, even when nobody's looking, that nobody includes you. You're the one that at the end of the day, you got to be willing to live with the decisions that you make.
That's right.
So it's not only what other people look at in what you're doing, it's whether or not you can live with what you're doing yourself. All right. But here's my story. So it's basic training, right? And it's late in basic training. We got maybe 2 weeks to go. And we're going through this night infiltration course. It's completely dark. The only lights there are the M16s firing the weapons over your head. We're supposed to be crawling underneath the barbed wire. If you stand up, you're going to get hit. So do not stand up, right? And they have tracer rounds that are they're going across, right? So that's really the only light that there is. And you're right, and you're there for a long period of time. It's in the middle of the night. But after we were done with that course, we were all lined up. We're getting ready to go back to our barracks, and I'm taking my earplugs out, and I dropped one on the ground. Right, it's really not that big of a deal because you can get another set of earplugs anywhere. Right, but at the same time, the drill sergeants check: do you have all your equipment? And if you're missing anything, you're going to pay for that also.
Oh, so you have to go back for it?
Right. So I'm like, I need that earplug. Right. So I made the mistake of turning my flashlight on without putting the red lens on it. The red lens, it changes the light to red light, and it's much more difficult to see at night. So my Dumbo head, right? I turned my flashlight on, white light, just light everywhere for miles, right? Everyone saw it. Drill sergeant was furious. I mean, eyes like this, like going nuts. Senior drill sergeant Kirkland. I still refer to him as the Antichrist. Yeah.
He was a great guy, I see.
Right. What's that?
He was a great guy, I see.
Didn't know him on a personal level. All I knew is he scared the hell out of me. Right? But I shined the light, and immediately I knew that I was doing something wrong. So it shocked me, oh my God, what did I just do? Right. And I hear him yelling off in the distance, and it took me, 2-3 seconds to realize that he was calling me up to go and talk to him. Right. But that hesitation really pissed him off. Right.
He was upset, and he became more upset. That he had to
became even more upset. And the one thing that he called me, he could have made me do push-ups till no end for doing something stupid with the flashlight. But he said, "You have no integrity." because that 2-3 second pause. Now he didn't know that I just wasn't with it, right? But he questioned it. He said, "You have no integrity." Oh my God, that hurt me so bad. Hurt me so bad. Yeah, for days I carried that around with me. How dare you say that to me? But at the same time, if it bothers you so much, might be something there.
Yes. Yeah. I've had many instances where someone says something to me that bothers me.
Yeah.
I don't say anything in the moment. And then after the fact, I'm rethinking, I'm thinking about what happened, what they said, and I'm thinking, I should have said this, I should have said that, I should have said this. And it just eats me up. Like, why? Why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I say something?
Yeah.
So that, like, when you're thinking about something for days, replaying it can be tough. But
yeah,
you're right. You have to make decisions that you respect.
Right. Yeah. You got to live with it.
Oh, yes. Right. Yeah. No regrets. No shame.
And that's, that goes back to Don Miguel Ruiz and the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you mean what you say. If you're going to throw it out there, make sure you mean it.
Right, yeah.
It's not only like if you say you're going to do something, do it. Like that's part of it. But it's like, if you're going to throw something out there, make sure it's not speaking against someone. It's not speaking against yourself. It's not putting lies out there. It's making sure that what you speak is truth. So yeah. All right, what do you got? Which one's yours?
I was thinking of personal courage.
Okay.
Personal courage, because I think in this endeavor, since we're starting, this is the first one. I think it takes courage to put ourselves out there and to share our experiences and our feelings and kind of like what we're going through, being vulnerable in that way, and hoping that other people have the courage also to come and join us and share their experience and what they're going through. Oh my gosh, sorry.
That's all right.
How do I stop it? Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
I'll use that to say I read something recently that every time there's a bell, just make that as a reminder to breathe. Take a deep breath.
Yeah. So yeah, back to what I was saying, personal courage to put yourself out there. And as we're building community, you have to share some of yourself. I think, when you're, a teacher, for example, like a first year teacher, that's what makes you so bad in the beginning, because you're thinking, well, the book said, and this is what they told me I should say. And then what shows that you're gonna make it, when it's sink or swim, is if you start letting them see some of you.
The real you.
Yeah. When you let them see, this is who I am. And that's how you start building the rapport with the students, because you're authentic. You're being yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, personal courage, because our hope is that we're going to be authentic and be our, share our experience and be vulnerable, and hopefully other people will do the same.
And they will, and we will. And I'm very confident in that. And I know, it's just attempts number one, but we're going to, I'm going to be here. And I think I can do this. There's a limit on StreamYard of 4 hours for the program that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I could do 4 hours,
4 hours at a time,
per stream. Per stream.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we've been here
that's
for
pretty good.
Minutes. Yeah. And that's, we can do that. And as long as there, more people come on to talk to, I love talking to people. So I think, let's keep doing this. So I like personal courage, and that's also, getting over ourselves a little bit and our own struggle, and just being willing to talk about our struggle and what we've suffered through. Your guy, our guy, David Goggins. I was just listening to chapter 5 of his book yesterday, and that's what they were talking about. That his book, Can't Hurt Me, is, how did they put it? It's a story about being vulnerable disguised as a guy who's really badass, right?
Yeah. That's what's badass about him.
That's what's badass about it, that he's being really vulnerable.
Yeah. And in the interview of Goggins, I was like, I love this man.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing was about the way he was talking was like, there's nothing badass about this man at all. No. But what's badass about him is that he's was being so authentic.
He's willing to be his true self and show his emotions and share the things that he's had to deal with internally, and not as well.
He's sharing all his pain, all his struggle, and how even now he doesn't let that piece of him go away. Like, he doesn't forget that that's where he was. That's what keeps him motivated, because he keeps remembering how he was, that poor kid. He grew up where he was struggling. Like, he remembers that. That's part of him. And so that I love that, because some people will say, oh, like, what would you tell your younger self? And I'm like, that's a hard question, because who I am now is due to the struggles and experiences that I've had. And I wouldn't give that up, because all those things have shaped me to be the woman that I am.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose that, lose those struggles, lose that pain.
Yeah. So you wouldn't tell anything to your younger self?
Go through it. I guess I would have advice, but knowing that that's what's gonna, like, those difficult experiences shape you.
Yeah. I guess that's the lesson, that everything passes, everything ends. The book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, it ends with him saying, there are really 3 words that sum it all up. Acceptance, that in hard times and times of suffering and struggle, it will end. Accept it. It's happening. It's real. It's there is pain and it sucks, but it will end. And then there's enjoyment, which is, just the fun part of life. Mm-hmm. Those times when, as much as we can be down, we can be up. Mm-hmm. But then the last one is enthusiasm, and enthusiasm is when you've been able to take the things that you enjoy and use it to drive your purpose. Mm-hmm. So I guess putting the 3 together, it's remembering your times of struggle and suffering, enjoying, your times that you're happy, but using those happy times to really get to a point where you can speak about all 3 together, suffering, happiness, and purpose. Mm-hmm. I just pulled that one out of nowhere.
That's awesome. So you finished the book?
I finished The New Earth. Yeah, I'm about 75% of the way through Understanding Our Mind with Thich Nhat Hanh. I got a few others that I'm always, just like you. I know you got like 3 or 4 books on your coffee table.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that's beautiful. I think the acceptance. So, and it's so relevant right now, like where everyone's going through so much in this pandemic. The acceptance that this is happening, whatever is happening, but it's not gonna always be like this. This will end.
Yeah, it sure as hell better.
It will. And then enjoying life, enjoying yourself. Even now, we enjoying ourselves different ways. And then the enthusiasm, finding that your passion.
Yeah, and that's why I'm happy with this, because it's just an easy way to just do what I've always wanted to do, which is, and the premise is this: just by simply putting something positive out there, and this is what I was so excited to text you this morning, right? Like just by simply putting something positive out there, it automatically improves whoever listens to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are connected to all things and all people in the universe, and all things and all people are connected to us, then if we put that positivity out there, it automatically improves the entire universe.
Mm.
That's it. Simple as that. And it's, it doesn't have to be, I'm speaking and I need something in return for it. No, I think just by being willing to speak truth and positivity and love, just by willing to be that, just by being willing to speak about those things, I've automatically accomplished what I set out to do. And that's
Right.
it. And just kind of be at peace with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the return is that you're putting that positivity out there. It's going to impact someone.
Come back. It'll come back at some point.
Mm-hmm. True.
So, even if it just comes back to everyone collectively, it'll all balance.
Mm-hmm.
So, getting a little hippie-ish though.
Yes, well, you are hippie. Now everyone knows how you get your hippie ways. But I love it. So true. It's so true. Like, even, we were talking about the meditation, how I worked on that with my students. And I'm like, I'm going to continue this. And the first day I tried it, one of the little girls says, they didn't think this was going to work.
Yeah.
She's like, but it worked.
Yeah. And that's, he says that in the book, that if you're trying to force it, it's not going to work. You're not going to get to where you want to go. Just let it be, let it come, let it flow. Just focus on the breathing and the breath and just being mindful and connected, and it'll like that. It'll happen. It'll just be there.
As opposed to, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. Why is it not happening? You're not going to be in the mental space for it to happen. You got to just let it flow.
So even on that note, like just our own conversation in these last 48 minutes, like we started out and it was forced a little bit. We felt that it was forced, but look at the groove that we fell into. Just let it be, right? Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. Like that little let it be. That's what we can do that for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll feel more comfortable as we keep going too. Like naturally, I love to talk, but I'm also timid. I usually am an observer. Like I observe people, and then when I feel comfortable, I kind of talk.
Yeah.
And then I'm good, but it takes me a little bit. But obviously I have rapport with you, and I feel comfortable with you, so I think we'll definitely get into a positive groove.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. On that note, I always find it funny that this is what I want to do, is speak to people, because I didn't start even speaking till I was 4 years old. So, and I saw that in writing today, where I was looking at one of my son's medical reports. It was like, father has a history of speech delay. I was like, oh man, there it is. So, oh well. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much. Whoever watches this, please contact us. Email at us at leadershipmatters@gmail.com. Ldrship. I think I have the Gmail here somewhere. There it is.
There it is.
So you can email us there. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It's all Leadership Matters. All right, because that's what matters right now. Our personal leadership.
Leadership in our lives, in our families, in our communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. See you next time, everyone. Be well.